Welcome to Daily B Show with Matty B and Alexander Alguire, episode 83, guys, Millennial Entrepreneur Life. So I met Alexander down in Miami. We were over there for the 10X conference. He was one of the first people I met on the at the showgrounds there, or at the arena. And mate, he has just come into my life and the life of the community that we were there with like an absolute bombshell. So Ron, my man, good to see you. Good to see Tammy. Hello, guys. So yeah, mate, Alexander, what an absolute champion. I'm really fortunate to have met this fine young gentleman, and really keen to just sort of pick his brain and just share what the mindset of such young entrepreneurs are sort of thinking like, and what they're sort of the way they're approaching the world. Man, it is refreshing to be around people like Alex, and man, I'm just so pumped to see where the future takes us, where the future takes him. He's already working with a bunch of people that.
All right. Hey, Merce. Hey, guys. So Alex is just jumping on now. Good to see you guys. Andrew, mate, we got to catch up. I missed you when I was in the Gold Coast, but I was thinking about you yesterday. Let's catch up. Emma, love to see you, beautiful. Whee! Oh shit, I'm going to change my chair. Okay. Just wait for old mate to come in. I've had a good morning. I've had a bit of coffee, so I'm all geared up. I've got so much shit on the go right now, so I'm just jacked up and just got so much energy. Just the amount of people that are coming on board to help out with what's going on at the moment is just really refreshing, and it's really motivating me to get my ass into gear. So this being one of them, this fine young gentleman, Alexander. So Janelle, Adam, good to see you guys.
Whoa. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Whoa, okay. I can hear you. This is way cool. I've never done a Facebook Live before. Not once. So even when you're like, go on my page, it's right there. And I'm like looking around, I'm like, I can't find it. And I'm like, I'm 23. I should know these things. Like, but I'm never on Facebook. I'm only on Instagram. Like,
true, man.
Oh, man.
I'm a sucker for popping someone's cherry, so it's my pleasure.
Oh, well, you're looking pretty, so as long as you buy me a drink first, maybe we can make that happen. Perfect. Alrighty. So I'm gonna you lead the show, because I'm just gonna get rambly. I have no idea what I'm.
You're very good. You're perfect just the way you are. I like that nice jumper too. You're looking very stylish today, my friend.
Perfect. Oh, thank you, Zara.
So I was giving you a bit of a wrap up and talking you up, but share a little bit about just who you are and what you're doing to start with, man, just so people know.
Yeah, all right. So, my name's Alex Alguire. I'm based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, in the United States. 23 years old, and since like 2015, I've been kind of playing around with the Instagram platform. So at first, it started off because I was in a multi-level marketing company, and it was kind of before it was really blowing up, as everybody was doing stuff on Instagram for multi-level marketing. And I was just running a motivational page, dropped the multi-level marketing company, kept the page for a while. And I took a single Instagram page from like 0 to 7,500 followers, just completely organically, working it as a full-time job basically in 30 days. It was just madness. I was making all my own pictures and everything. And that's kind of like, that's like the little bit of a backstory on just like how I'm got to where I'm at now. Because I was really obsessed with just like the following and just like being able to engage with all those people. So fast forward a couple of years, and I started a digital marketing company. So
yeah, you did.
This was back in 2017, actually, halfway through 2017. I had gone to college. I was in college when I was in multi-level marketing when I did my first page. I dropped out almost the day that one of my professors in my finance class said, only plan to make $60,000, maybe $80,000 a year if you're lucky. Most of you aren't going to make more than that. I stood up and said, why the fuck would you say that? And I literally walked out, like just very audibly was like, that's fucking stupid. And I just walked out. I had dropped out mentally way before I dropped out. I dropped out the previous semester. Called up my dad from another state, said, hey, I dropped out of college, got an apartment, I'm not coming home. So, and I took the next good chunk of 2 years just really developing my mindset. I mean, I was working at a coffee shop. I was working a shit ton at a coffee shop because they kept firing people. The owner was actually having a lawsuit put against him by the end of it, almost. I was kind of part of that. That's what happens when you don't pay your employees. So, I mean, that's where the coffee shop is really where I push my limit. And a couple times really, and this all does play into what I'm doing now significantly. If you're okay with that. Like, again, I've never been interviewed before, so.
I'll pull you up if you're fucking around.
Perfect. So, like, I was in this coffee shop and stuff, and the guy kept firing people. People kept quitting. I was very quickly kind of designated the guy to just call. So my record right now is I've worked just over 3 days straight, and it was serving lattes. So serving lattes, and it was madness. And that was the first time that I would really, push myself to the limits of being like, okay, wow, like, restrictions in life are very put upon us. And that was the first time I really had a huge realization that it was like restrictions in life are put upon us. Go to bed at this time, wake up at this time, do this. You only have so much energy to do this, and this. Like I'd finished up 3 days of nonstop work, and I kind of laid in bed after that for a second and went like, wow, like I knew that the coffee shop deal was coming to an end. The guy wasn't paying anybody. There was less than 10 employees at this point running a 24-hour double drive-through coffee shop. Like it's physically impossible to do that. And I was the guy working most of that. So when I quit the coffee shop, I was kind of just hanging out in my bed one day, buying stuff on wish.com, spending money that I really found out quickly I didn't have because I didn't have a job and I didn't have an income for a couple months, going through some significant depression, kind of one of the peak points of depression in my life. And my card was declined. I had $2.47 left in my bank account and bills coming up to the tune of just over $700 in 3 days. No job, no income, over $700 worth of bills. Looked at everything in my room, and everything had dollar signs all of a sudden. And that's the second, this is the second time that like in my life, I had really like proven to myself something, because the whole point of dropping out of college for me was I grew up wanting to do things, wanting to create things, wanting to build things, wanting to sell this and sell that. And if I was ever given a little bit of leniency, I never went full bore with it, because I was always monitored by like my parents. Like, it's like, why are you spending this? Why are you spending that? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Stop fucking around. Pull your head out of your ass. You can't even get a C on a math test. You're never going to be successful. Fuck this. Fuck that. Like, so like the whole thing for me for dropping out of college was like my dad threatened to kick me out and disown me for joining a multi-level marketing company. Like, and I was like, fucking do it. And like that was the first time I'd really stood up for myself. And so fast forward, that really helped, because at this point, I was on my own in another state, and there was this huge sense of adrenaline that was surging as well. Like, I really like coming close to like getting fucked bad. Like, if I can get like really close to like, you're about to like take a bullet to the head if you don't fix some shit fast. Like, that's a really cool thing for me. I like eating shit in that way, and I do like the pain associated with it, because it forces a lot of growth on a very rapid scale. So 100%. Everything had a dollar sign. I hopped in my car. I was doing this thing called DoorDash at the time. Nothing really entrepreneurial, honestly. I'd stopped selling vape juice. I'd stopped like piddling shit every now and then. It was just like I didn't have the energy for it mentally. But all of a sudden, I had the energy to like take on fucking Genghis Khan and his army if I really needed to. Everything was going up for sell. I was literally selling shit before I'd even bought it, like left and right, driving around. Like, I sold, like, I mean, I was doing anything. I sold one of our hookahs to the local drug dealer, and then upsold them on a $5 bottle of wine. Like, everything had, like, I was literally like piddling like plates, knives, food if I could, like anything. I offered to make people sandwiches when they came to buy shit from me. And I would tell them, like, I would, like, anything, everything. By the end of the 3 days, I had more than enough money for my bills, plus a couple $100 extra. Had the second realization of, oh shit, like, all right, you can do that. That's pretty cool. And that was like wild for me. And I gained some momentum like hard in that time. And it was just like everything. I was importing so much shit from China all of a sudden. My friends were like, Alex is the creepy guy with a trench coat that walks up with like, hey, you want to buy a watch? And none of this was being digital, by the way. I didn't even know what fucking drop shipping was. I wish I did, because I didn't fucking know. I was buying all the watches that drop shippers were buying, but importing them in like bulk quantities and literally door to door selling them at times. Like, probably has some advantages to it, but like that's the second time. So this is like all very pre-Instagram, like in the sense of what I'm doing now. But what it did was it built up a really strong mental toughness to be told no repeatedly, like, which helped a significant amount when I finally did start doing digital marketing in 2017. Because what happened in 2017 was I decided to go back to college for psychology. Late 2016, knew I wasn't going to finish. I just didn't really expect to be kicked out. I thought it was going to be on my terms. This time it wasn't really on my terms. I got kicked out of college this time. Yeah, they sent me a letter saying that I was dismissed from housing, that I wasn't welcome back. So I was like, well, fuck it. I started not going to my general classes and probably sassing one of my online teachers after she repeatedly asked me to turn in an assignment. I said, this has no relevance to my life, so I'm not doing it. I got a couple complaints. I was that kid. There's a few stories that my family doesn't exactly know about. Like the time I told a doctored professor at my school that her position was absolutely pointless because she went from school to teach a subject that nobody gives a shit about. That was kind of disrespectful, but it was very valid. It was like algebra 2. It's like, why are you a physics? Like, why do you have a doctorate in physics if you're going to go teach algebra? Like, that's stupid. Go solve world problems. Don't teach kids. They don't want to be here anyways. So what happened is in 2017, I was like, I had pondered doing digital media marketing, honestly, a lot longer before like the whole Tai Lopez thing came about, where it's like everybody was doing it. I thought about doing it when I was back in the multi-level marketing company. Multi-level marketing companies, though, have a kind of like a cult factor to them. And I was like, well, fuck it. If I'm going to do this, I'm not going to like spread my interest too thin because it's not going to help me. Finally, I was like, well, shit, this guy named Tai Lopez has got a course. I'm going to go buy his course because odds are I'm not going to finish it, but spending $1,000 might motivate me to go out and do it. So that's actually exactly what I did. I got about 30% through it, and then a couple of the things weren't quite relevant with the latest updates, and I just got bored of his courses and decided to go figure it out myself. Built a digital media marketing company doing everything: Facebook ads, Instagram, Twitter, fucking everything, between 2 states. My very first client, though, took 160-ish cold calls and over 130 cold emails for finally one person to let me in. I really had no idea what I was doing. My emails back then were absolute shit. Like it was like a call to action immediately. Like, basically, you should hire me. Like, this is why, and I have no credibility or experience. And which is funny because yeah, exactly, right off the bat. Like, hey, the very first guy actually is a guy named Neil Zusman. I owe him a lot. He actually owns a restaurant that's just 2 blocks up the street. He's my very first client. Yeah, he's the first guy that said, hey, come in and meet with me, which is really funny because Neil Zusman.
Neil Zusman, cool.
Yeah, he's a really cool dude. And shout out Neil Zusman. He's about 74 years old, and he's probably the last person that should have said yes to me, actually, because he's incredibly successful. He literally gave me 10 minutes, and in another one of our meetings later on down, he literally said, he said to me, he's like, I really want to go skiing in Switzerland. I'm like, oh, cool. When are you going to go? He said, there's a flight that leaves at 6 tonight. And he left. He has that kind of money. Like, he's the last person that should have ever given me any of his time. But he gave it to me, and he gave me 10 minutes. I opened up our meeting by spilling an entire glass of water all over both of us.
Way to build that rapport.
I built some solid rapport real quick.
You can really handle challenges together.
Yeah, he was super chill. It was actually really great. And he's like, I'll give you $500 if you deliver on everything that you said, which I way overpromised and had zero experience with, other than the fact that I had built one Instagram account. And I'm promising all this stuff, ads and emails and this and that. And like, you want a Hyundai and I'm going to give you a Bentley. Like, which was fine. Like, I mean, that's a good thing to do, honestly, especially when you're starting out. But an even better thing to do is to like not be afraid to do it for free. And that's something where a lot of people get tripped up on and they actually end up fucking themselves. One of the best things you can do when you're starting out is do shit for free. And a lot of shit for free. Don't take a paycheck from anybody.
Ooh.
Like, and here's like a couple reasons why. One, it's going to prove to you really quick whether you want to be doing what you're doing. Two, it's going to like really show how hard you can work. And three, when you can work that hard, really fucking hard and not be paid, you become really quite indisposable. Like, they don't want to get rid of you. Like, and when you finally do go like, hey, like, you either need to start paying me or I'm going to like hop, all of a sudden it's like an oh shit on their end. So, but you also, more importantly than that, like when you do that sort of thing, you build yourself a really solid base. Like, one of the things that I've learned most in doing what I'm doing is the ability to say, I work with so many people. I've done so much of XYZ. You know, like there's this common thing that everyone feels like they need to be paid for every little thing they do. But when I was building my business, like I was running deals left and right. Like I was way under par. Like there wasn't even a par. Like we're at like bogey status right now if we're really talking golf. Like I was so underpriced for all the shit that I did, and I was just running it as hard as I could. Like I was cleanup crew. A lot of the businesses that I was working with, a lot of them were restaurants that had already been burned by 2-3 digital agencies that ran them dry financially and gave them shit work. And here I come in charging a third of what they're doing and giving them way more than they've ever gotten. And yeah, people do tend to take advantage of you when you do that. That's aside the point. When you're first starting out, it doesn't matter. Like you're not worth anything anyways.
That's the price of doing the business, isn't it? That just comes with it. But the benefits you get from doing it far outweigh the people that are taking advantage.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, so many people look at all the negative sides of things. Like, you know, my dad is always like, "Are you making money? Are you making money? Are you making money? Are you paying your bills?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't give a shit. Like, I have a client list right now. That's all that fucking matters to me. My car can go get repoed. I've got a client list in my laptop, and now I can finally like have the belief in myself that I can go do this. Like, that's way more important than making your bills, guys." And I'm dead serious when I say that. I back that with 100% of what I'm. And I'll explain why in a second. So anyways, I built a digital marketing company, 9 businesses, 2 different states. There's only one of me. There's only so much you can do when there's only one of you and you're doing literally everything. I ended up moving back to Utah at the beginning of 2018. My girlfriend broke up with me, and she was the only reason why I moved back out to Arizona in the first place, which was cool because I got a bunch of clients out there and stuff, and I got a lot of really great experience. But you know, I was like, well, fuck this. Arizona gets hot. I'm out. I'm going back home to Utah. This is the part where it's like, I really do stand behind what I'm saying. By the time I had moved back, like I racked up a lot of debt with buying camera equipment and shit because like I couldn't find someone that I could rely on. When you hire like a bunch of people and like every single person falls through, you obviously suck at hiring. So my solution was to take it on myself and do a bunch of shit. And that at the time was doing everything, photography, videography. Like I was doing everything still, and that becomes really draining. But when I moved back to Utah, I didn't really have a ton of money. I'd spent all my money. I'd spent all my money on numerous things that like I shouldn't have been spending my money on, whether it was, you know, testing Facebook ads or, you know, going out to eat and taking, you know, a girl on dates, like, because we were in a relationship and that's what apparently you're supposed to do. But like, I was broke when I came back. I was broke when I came back, except for I had a little bit of money to get an office space. Now, I moved back to Utah. My home base is here. I do have family here, but my family's incredibly negative. My family's incredibly negative. They don't like it, the fact that I'm out all the time. They don't like me being on my own schedule. My dad's incredibly controlling. Literally almost shot my friend and I one night in high school for coming home 5 minutes past the time that he was planning on it. I'm dead serious. The guy had a gun at the door, ready to pull the trigger at my friend and I. So it's like not a good place to go back to. What was a good place for me to go back to, though, because everyone was like, hey, you should get an apartment now that you're moving back. I'm like, nah, fuck that. Apartment's not going to make me any money. But if I have an office in the heart of downtown Salt Lake and it's a premium shared office space, I guarantee there's going to be people there that are going to be able to pay me for what I do. So going back to like Grant Cardone at 10X and everything, when he was talking about how important it is to get out of your house, I really agree with that. I slept in my car for 2.5 months. Like I did. I slept in my car for 2.5 months after my business had collapsed, figuring shit out. I had a gym membership down here. I had my office. I showered at my gym. I worked all night and all day. Like, I passed out in the car. Like, there was literally a point in time when I didn't have enough money to gas up my tank to, like, run the heater, and it was, like, 18 degrees outside. And I was sleeping in the back of my car, and it was one of the happiest points I've ever been in my life. I highly recommend it to people. You gain a huge fucking appreciation for, like, more importantly than a bed, but, like, the ability to just, like, a bathroom. Because it's indecent to just, like, go walk outside your car and, like, take a piss on the side of the building. So you got to wait till, like, at least the gym opens up at 4:30 in the morning. But, like, that's, like, it gave me a lot of gratitude in life. And that gratitude compounded in a lot of different ways to, like, understanding the value that I was bringing to my clients. Like, this all does come full circle in, like, how I think. So if it's all over the place, I apologize. I'm kind of sporadic in my thoughts.
You do well, man.
But like, so by the time I had, like, you know, got back here, I had been through, you know, I was like, I'd already slept in my car. A couple months later, you know, finally was able to get a place with a friend of mine and out here that I lived out here. Still had the office. I still have the office. Industrious, literally, actually, this is kind of funny because that's literally the couch that I slept on.
Cool.
Some nights when I was here. Didn't really actually make those connections for a second, but I was out here building business, getting lots of no's, getting lots of turn downs, getting lots of, we've already done that. I did a lot of literal door to door, just like knocking. That's not a big thing in like the digital space I found for what I do. There's a lot of just like cold approach, but like in mass quantity. Something my dad taught me when I was young was the relationships that you build in life and business. There's not just one relationship. And it's really interesting because my dad's a very secluded guy, but my dad taught me that like the one person that you build a deep relationship with can honestly lead you to the 2 or 3 people that are going to compound your business very exponentially. And that came about, you know, so like me, I'm very much so like a person to person thing. A lot of people my age have a very difficult time communicating with people who are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old and communicating on a level that, you know, you can actually take business to a different, like a level where they can actually take you serious. I grew up with adults. I didn't really grow up with friends and people my age until I was in like middle school and high school. So I was just always with adults. So it made sense to me to go develop relationships with adults, not constantly just try, you know, like mass quantity cold pitching people. So that's what I did. And what ended up happening was, I reached out to, early in my business, I reached out to my friend. I'm not going to mention him because I really don't want you to shout him out because we're not exactly friends anymore. But I reached out to this kid that I'd known. I'm not going to say screw that guy because like I understand he was going through a lot in life, but still you don't screw someone and you don't stab somebody in the back, especially when they're taking you in at a time and point when you can need it. And I reached out to him when I was building my business again out here. And I was like, hey man, I'm building this business. I want you to help me with it. And at the time, I was doing Instagram growth as an add-on just for free for clients. That's what all it was to me. It wasn't anything more. It wasn't the big thing. It wasn't the core of what I was doing. Content creation was the core of what I was doing. And so when I reached out to him and stuff, he introduced me to this thing called like Instagram growth. And like, he was like, you know, like, why not just like take the modeling industry that's exploding down in Provo? Like I do half of their pictures anyways, and let's just take it to them. I was like, all right. So I figured everything out. And I was like, I was already implementing the same systems that I had implemented across the very first account that I blew up, you know, 4 years prior to. And we got that going, and all of a sudden it's like, I was like realizing, like it started clicking in my head, and this is back still, you know, March, April, May, June of like 2018. It was just like, man, this stuff is really cool. Like I realized really quickly, because I'm a very much so a numbers person. I like tracking numbers and whatnot. And I realized that I was obsessive with, you know, these numbers as long as they were real and good and organic, and like my clients are actually benefiting from them. When we started getting feedback from people, like models actually getting more bookings, photographers finding them more often, them getting more gigs, more shoots and things like that, that's when I realized, I was like, oh shit, maybe this has some great value to it. So I started neglecting other things that I was doing, or when I got bored of doing all this other shit that I didn't enjoy doing, I kept focusing on that. And it was great. It was growing. I was up to like 24 clients that weren't paying us, because I had this straight rule, like, where I was like, I don't bring anything to market to have people pay for it until I prove that I can do it. And that's another great thing that, like, I think a lot of people really should do more of. Too many people bring things to market, and like I think it's a little bit more of the 10x mindset to bring it to market and then fix things. I prefer to at least bring something to market that I have confidence in going and telling people that, hey, like, I would rather not issue refunds. I'd rather give things for free than issue refunds. And me, ethically, I can't provide a service and have it fail through for people and not like feel like they've benefited from it. So that's a huge thing for me. So got up to 24 clients, and right before they were starting to pay, or like pay and everything, right as they were starting to pay, or supposed to starting to pay, my business partner and friend all of a sudden stopped responding. And all of a sudden I got on Venmo like 2 weeks later. I was like following up with him hard. I was like, dude, I hope you're okay. He's like, yeah, I'm just going through a hard time. I'm like, dude, I've known this guy for 5 years. 5 years. We're friends at this point. All right. And all of a sudden I see on Venmo one day, when I go to pay someone some money, all these people paying my friend for Instagram, the exact amount that we'd agreed on. And he walked out the door with about $2,400 a month worth of business. So 24 clients, at $100 a pop. And like, I was pretty pissed. I was like upset. I was like, and it wasn't even like the money. It was the fact that somebody that I trusted and that was a friend of mine stabbed me in the back. And I was like, damn, that was a dick move. So I do get a little bit spiteful on some things. And usually when people screw me, I don't have it's not as much of a fuck you attitude as much as, all right, I'm just going to go do whatever you're doing and do it better now. I get really competitive.
That's the ultimate fuck you.
Yeah, no, it kind of is. And especially because his numbers have gone down significantly, because I do peep in on a Venmo and stuff every now and then to see what's going on. And I know that's how he runs all of his transactions. And well, at that point I was at 0. And then I built up a small test clientele again to about the same number, about 24. And then mid-October, I took it to market, finally starting to sell it, doing specifically Instagram growth. I fired the final group of clients that I had that I was doing content creation for Instagram and like Facebook and all this other bullshit for, and I put it all aside. And I said, hey guys, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm only doing this one thing called Instagram growth. And in that much time from now, we actually have gone from 24 test accounts to just past the 200 total account mark a day ago. So over 200. Yeah. So that was
the goal, man. Walk through that process of setting that into play, because that's a cool story. And the fact that you just reached that is amazing. Well done.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing. I was running a really cool promotion for a while, again, way under market value, even paying and stuff. But one of the things that I've noticed with digital marketing in general, and this is why I encourage people, if you're going to enter a market that's already saturated, 1, don't be afraid to do things for free. 2, don't be afraid to do things on trial. 3, if you're going to say that you're going to give a refund, don't give 100%, offer 150% money back guarantee. Really put your nuts on the line with it, honestly, because that audacity will earn you a lot of respect. So even when people do ask and say hey, this wasn't delivered upon, some of them will insist on you keeping the money that they already paid you. I would say don't. I'd say send it back to them anyways, because you already made the promise that you're going to. So just over deliver on absolutely everything you do. What that's done for me personally is I've only had 4 people that I've returned money to. One of them was from another state. We're amazing friends. She invited me out for drinks when she was out here for the Young Living convention. She's in a multi-level marketing company called Young Living. And she's honestly even offered up her own time to teach some tactics to some of my clients on like giveaways and things on Instagram, which she's amazing at, and I've not really done a ton of. So like being a man of your word or a woman of your word, and just being a person of your word and standing behind everything you do, and doing it to the fullest and never making an exception will gain you a lot of rapport. So even when you do fail one client, that one client may actually still even refer you to people, even though you screwed up with them. And that's a really incredible thing. So that's how I got so quickly to what I'm at now, honestly. The office that I told my parents and everybody else that I was called stupid, by the way, by literally every fucking person I knew for having, has turned out some of my largest clients. The office that I've been at for a year now has more than paid for the office in incremental values. My friend Tiffany just walked by the window a second ago. Tiffany is a lady that we became acquainted because we were the only people working here at 3 a.m. on Saturday because we just wouldn't stop. And eventually we just kind of started associating. Tiffany's one of my best friends now, honestly. Tiffany's also brought me a couple clients that have brought me a couple clients that have brought me a couple clients that have added up to like 30 clients total, you know? My friend Connor, who also works out of the office, again, someone I just always seeing, always associating with. He would bring girls here late at night and get locked out and shit, and I was always the guy working late, so I'd let him in for his dates and everything. And you know, he plugged me with a group of guys that own 7 companies, and I manage 3 like Instagram growth for 3 of them, but I'm building out these huge structures for them that have, you know, 10 plus accounts on each one of them kind of deal. Like my friend TJ is just amazing moral support, and we're like, you know, bros at this point, honestly. So it's just like, he's referred me to people. Like I would say, like, put your network before, you know, there's like the Maslow's like hierarchy of like needs and things like that, like shelter and all that other bullshit. Like entrepreneurs, I think a little bit different. Like I had a roof over my head and it was the roof of my car, and I was really fucking happy. So like, put your network first. Like put your network on that triangle of hierarchy of needs. Like that's why like Steve, one of our friends from Australia and stuff, Steve's amazing. Steve knows how to network like unlike most people I've ever met in my life. I thought I was a pretty damn good networker until I met Steve. So like the network is really like what has brought about what I've been able to do. I wouldn't consider what I've done a success necessarily because, and I mean, like I haven't done it alone. I'm not self-made. Nobody is, I don't think. You know, Neil's my first client ever said to say yes to me. I couldn't have done it without him. I couldn't have done it without Tiffany, who's referred me a countless number of times. I couldn't have done it without TJ, who's been there for incredible moral support. So shout out to all those guys, because those guys are all absolutely incredible. That's been my journey with this. Like, that's been my journey with, like, going from, like, always wanting to do something entrepreneurially to 2 years later, it kind of seemed to happen within a few months. But really, it was, like, years of like, I didn't include in that story the 1.5 years of literally going through audiobooks for 12 hours a day. I didn't include that part in the story. Like I didn't include that part of like, you know, where, you know, I was importing fake Yeezys and literally door to door knocking, selling fake shoes. Like, so it's like all that kind of adds up to.
I was just saying the other day when we were chatting, this is something that came up about some guys and some people would come up and go and just ask like, how you doing it and what you're doing. And it's like, explain that part, like what your answer to them was about the actual, the 2 to 5 years of actually working on yourself and on your mindset.
So yeah, like honestly, the 2 to 5 years, like going back to that story where I was looking at everything in my room and all of a sudden had dollar signs, because literally it was basically, here's the option that came to mind in that moment. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. Sinking is not an option for me. Like I'll go down fighting and biting, and like I'll die before I just give up and sink. Like, but during that time, I was listening to Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold literally on nonstop. Like when I went to bed, it was at a low tone as I slept. When I woke up, it was like in my earbuds. It was in my car speakers. I would account Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone for a lot of just helping me with my confidence, helping me with logically understanding sales. I grew up being told sales was very manipulative, that it was bad, it was shysty, you were bad, and if you were a salesman, my dad said that he would never have a son that was that sold cars, because salesmen are liars, and which is funny because my dad's an entrepreneur who encouraged me to go to school over entrepreneurship. My dad's a salesman who built a more than $1 million business by himself, selling and closing for some of the largest gold mines in the world. Like my dad, like all these things that he told me not to be, like it finally clicked in my head one day. I was like, what the fuck? You're all this. So like getting over that is a hard thing. Like for a lot of people, that's a huge roadblock. Like, well, I don't want to ask my friends for money, or I don't want to ask for money. It's like, dude, the restaurant doesn't even ask you for money when you go order a steak. They tell you you're paying it. They don't even ask. So like, you know, it's like the government's not asking for you to pay taxes. They're telling you you're paying taxes or we're going to come after you. Like, you know, it's like everybody's so afraid to just like ask, but I think that has to do a lot with like, I had to develop a lot of the mindset of like, what value are you bringing? You know, I was that kid that was like importing vape mods and selling them. Do you guys have vape in Australia? I read something about like how it's now becoming legal. Yeah?
Yeah, they are around, yeah.
So are you guys familiar with them though?
Yeah, the vaporizers, yeah.
Okay, cool. So like I was the guy that was like literally driving like 40 minutes to an hour and a half plus like to deliver things to people. Like because I was selling things for 30% more than a shop was. Like I was selling things at a higher price and I was giving a premium service. Like that's a huge thing. And like developing my mindset, I had to really realize that I had value to bring to people, you know? Doing my Instagram and everything like that was a huge thing for me. Like I had to realize that I could always just sell Instagram growth, or I could give free consultation and actually teach people and educate people how to use social media and why it works the way it does. And then they can have my number and they know that when they text me, they're going to get a response back. And sometimes it's not always immediately, but they're going to get a response back. So being able to bring that value to people was a huge thing for me in my mindset. And I didn't learn that in Instagram growth. I learned that in what I call like hustle sales. Like, you know, Gary Vee talks about like going to garage sales and shit and like picking stuff up. Like he'll buy a 40-cent cup and flip it for $5. The dude's happy as shit. And like a lot of people haven't done that. I did it for fun and out of necessity. And it's like, that's an obsession of where it's like, that's where you learn what you can do for other people. Like that's where you learn. It's like, well, maybe I'm not just going to sell one mug, but maybe I'm going to sell a mug and I'm going to include free, like 3 packs of hot chocolate with it. And I'm going to sell it for $6 and $1 more than the other guy. And they're going to get 3 uses out of the mug as well. And then I'm going to hand deliver it to them. And it's like, that's where you learn all that. And like developing my mindset was a huge thing where I had to learn sales wasn't bad. I had to learn everybody has value to bring, including myself. I had to learn that honestly, and this is, I actually get a lot of flack for this one, but we're naturally manipulative as humans. So I just discount manipulation completely. We all do have an agenda, whether it's for the greater good of mankind or whether it's for personal. So it's like, listen, everybody's going through it anyways. And I had to really come to terms with that. And like, I had to come to terms with
that manipulation is what plays a big part. Like you can,
exactly.
Doing it, it's just the intention, what the underlying intention.
Exactly. And like, I came to terms with that. My intention was, I want to help people. I want to help people in a lot of different ways. Like I've given my services for free to businesses before because no, the shop owner doesn't have money. And could I Grant Cardone them and like push them and pressure them and pressure them and pressure them? Yeah, but the same shop owner that doesn't have money is also giving free food to every fucking homeless guy that comes through the door. So I had to really realize like where my intentions were and come to terms with the fact that I actually have great intentions. Like, and like
pretty big picture perspective to hold. Where does that come from? Like you have to have a pretty broad perspective to actually take everything into consideration. Because like you said a while ago, most people just want to get paid for every single minute that they spend or every little thing that they do. But to really broaden that perspective and take in that bigger picture, that's pretty unique, man. Like, where does that come from?
Okay, so, give me a minute here, because where it really comes from, honestly, is the fact that I grew up in a family that, like, my parents got divorced when I was really young. My mom is one way and my dad's another one. I'm not going to get too in depth to it on who they are as parents or people or anything. I love and respect them both. Love them to death, but it wasn't exactly, they're very, very much so the exact same person, and they're completely opposite at the same times. I went back and forth with my parents on a 7-day rotation basis, basically living out being two completely different people. And if I was slightly different, I was like, all of a sudden you're like the other parent, which is the person that they left. And like, it's like chaos constantly. So I developed an appreciation for empathy. I became obsessed at a really young age with wanting to know why people did the things they did. I questioned a lot in the sense of like, why are you doing that? And then like really thought about it deeply on an obsessive level with a lot of people. So I just developed an empathy for the understanding that everyone's coming from something, and that, you know, like I watched my dad get judged by every parent at my school. I did go to a private school. There's a little private Christian school out here, and, you know, dads would show up in their suits and their ties and, you know, like slack shoes and everything. My dad would show up in a dirty pickup, in grease covered jeans. And like, again, this is like, shout out my dad for this, but like my dad probably made more money than any of them. Like the guy with the Ferrari ended up going bankrupt and lost his Ferrari, where my dad shows up at 6 o'clock in the morning and is out of the shop by noon, 1 o'clock, and still built $1 million business. I watched a lot of dads not show up to, you know, recitals, and a lot of moms not show up to concerts and parent days and things like that. But my dad was always there to pick me up after school. So it taught me a huge lesson, which is cliche, and we're all taught it from a young age, but no one really like thinks about it, I think, and that's to not judge a book by its cover. And I really took that to heart. So every new person that came into my life, it's just a fresh start. You're a fresh book. I haven't opened you up, but I haven't read you. I can ask you a lot of questions. I can take a lot of time to try understanding you. But like, that's where it's like, not everything is the same. Like, humans are really complex. I have a deep love for psychology, how we think, why we think, and like empathy plays a huge role into that. That's why I'm such a big fan of Gary Vee, because Gary Vee's like, empathy wins at the day every single time. That wasn't cool when I was growing up. I was the nice kid. I was the you're too nice kid. And it's like, all of a sudden it's like the too nice kid is like, yeah, like I'm nice and I'm happy and like I care for a lot about people, and like, yeah, that person that just screwed me and like, you know, walked out the door with a bunch of my business. Like, I have a philosophy that's like, if someone needs to steal from me, then like let them have it. Even my, you know, friend, my business partner, I was like, you know, maybe he needed it more than me. I was pissed, like I was hurt, but at the end of the day, it's like, maybe he needed it more than me. Oh well. Like, if you're actually good at what you do, you don't worry about competition. You don't worry about people walking out the door with business, because guess what? You just go find new, and you just find new ways to bring more value to the world around you. You just keep doing that, and you do it every single day. That's how I have one client that I do email marketing for, which, going back to and why I did the kind of plug that I sucked at emails, because it took me so many. I write very high open rate email campaigns now for a multiple $100 million. By the time it's done being developed, it will be $1 billion real estate development, and ski resort out here in Utah. And I was kind of their secret weapon for a while, because they weren't sharing there's only one sales rep for the entire mountain, and he wasn't sharing me with the board and everything, because he didn't want it like getting shot down. But like, for me, I did a lot of work for free, and I'm just like always the person that, like, if they text me, I'm like, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? What can I do for you? They're really busy as shit right now, and they already have a ton of work for me to do, but I'm still like, what can I do for you? I'll have it done. What can I do for you? I'll have it done. Always finding new ways to bring value to people is a great way. Like, don't worry about what money you can get out of someone. Don't worry about a one-time deal. Nobody's a one-time deal. Nobody should be treated like a one-time deal. And this is just how I think on a very like broad spectrum. I'm not looking at today. I'm not looking at 6 months down the road. I'm looking literally 5, 10, and 20 and 30 years down the road. I'm like, every single new client that comes into my like grasp is a seed that I am planting for 20 years down the road. I got off the phone with a guy earlier today that he's been a client of mine for 4 months. He didn't even pay the last 30 days. And I've been asking him for it too and stuff like that. Could I just like stop working on his shit? Yeah, absolutely, I could. But at the same time, if I was in that position and someone just cut my shit off and I was already a good paying client for a few months, like where would I be? Like, can I be upset? Yeah, I would. And I just send him text messages like, hey man. Like most people don't do that. Most people are like, no, you gotta like be strict. You gotta be structured with your clients. You gotta cut them off. You gotta make sure you can't use that example for everyone. So otherwise everyone's gonna take advantage of you. Or you can use that as an example of how you can bring even more value to someone. You know, come to find out that his last month has been like wild as shit. His credit card got changed over and he didn't even have time to let me know. You know, he's been traveling nonstop. We had a 40-minute conversation today on how he wants to bring me on, and he wants to like go from one thing that I was doing and he wants to expand it. Not to mention the people that he works with out in the music industry aren't exactly what we call like not known, you know? And he's been working 80, 90, 110-hour weeks, not looking at his phone because he's been in the studio making beats. So like having that understanding on a per clientele basis is something that a lot of people like miss out on. You know, I'm past 200 accounts, but like my clientele is still below 100, which means there are multiple people that run multiple accounts with me. But I have a per client relationship with everybody except one guy. He's in Japan, and I've texted him and called him and stuff like that, and then tried getting a hold of him. He's actually a referral client from another client, and he's just never gotten back to me. And I can come to find out the guy's making music 24/7, so he has no time to check his phone. Totally cool with that. He's the only guy that I haven't talked to. Out of every single one of my clients, he's the only guy that I've never talked to. So I just run a very per clientele basis with my clients, and like I want my clients to know that like they can always reach out to me, and that's an important thing. And I think that's how you should run relationships and business in general. I think that we need to bring, like, I'm a capitalist, but I think we need to bring more conscious capitalism where it's not about the bottom line. Everyone's worried about the bottom line, and it's not very expansive. Like, it doesn't allow for very expansive thinking. Like, you know, like John, don't take this the wrong way, but when I brought up with John when we were in Miami, I was like, I want to own hotels and he's like, don't. He owns a hotel. He's a guy with experience. I should probably be listening to this person. But he's like, you don't want to own hotels. They're not scalable. I don't want to own hotels because they're scalable. I want to own hotels because I'm obsessed with architecture, and I know hotels allow me an opportunity to go to any random guy off the street or gal or homeless person and say, I have a job for you. I want to own hotels because I know that in a hotel you can not only house people who work for you, but you can house people and give them experience, and you can find people who maybe aren't capable of doing other jobs, and you can have them do simple tasks like, I need all the baseboards clean, or, you know, you can groom people through that. That's why I want to own hotels, because it's like that's the opportunity that I see that I can bring to the world. I don't want to own them because they're going to make me rich. I'm not going to make my millions from hotels. I already know that. They're incredibly expensive to keep up. I'm not going to make my money from that. I'm going to make my money from other things. Hotels are the vehicle that I'm going to use to employ other people and bring value to the single moms out there who, you know, like my mom was working a fuck ton of hours and never seeing us because she had to put food on the table when my stepdad just kind of up and left. That's why I want to own a hotel. It has nothing to do with the scalability of profits. And I think that, you know, entrepreneurs overall need to start thinking on that level. So like everyone's so worried about the bottom line that they're afraid to risk the bottom line for the bigger picture. And that's something that like I'm just not afraid to do. Like I'll put everything on the line for one shot. And I think that's why I really like Elon Musk. Like Elon Musk is really going to put his balls on the line and just have him fucking chopped off in front of the world. Just to be like, yeah, okay, that didn't work. Let's go again. He blew up a fucking rocket and clapped at it. That's awesome. That's the type of entrepreneurship that we need more of in this world. We need to fucking blow up more rockets. So, like
Absolutely.
I hope that actually like encased what you're asking, because I really do, like, in my brain that all connects.
That does. No, you connected it really well. You've put the formula together really well. And
cool.
That's exactly why I'm so excited to join you on stage up in Salt Lake City or a few venues around the country.
Yeah.
Because it is bringing that different attitude to entrepreneurship
and bring that soul and that higher level consciousness to what we're doing. Just breaking down some of those perspectives and old ways of thinking, and just bring a bit of soul and passion and purpose to what we're doing. And giving, and there's so many examples of people just like this, just like yourself, that have taken that different route, that do come in with a lot of compassion, and that do make it work 100% and make it work better. Like you said, putting your network first. Your network is just that's where it is. Like, businesses are just people, families are people, organizations are people, education system is people, governments are people, and so there's a lot to be said around that.
That was beautifully put, honestly. Like, it's so true. At the end of the day, we all go to bed and we all wake up, and I can't remember exactly who said this quote, which pisses me off because it's my favorite quote ever. But it's like, you know, I wake up in the morning, and as long as I have a pulse, I know I've got a shot. That, to me, like, I think that really does help with the whole bringing a conscious level to everything as well, because people get so attached to the financial aspect of it that they're afraid to risk things. And like, I've come down to the conclusion that, like, if I wake up in the morning, even if it's on the streets, I know that I can go make something happen. There's a lot of great people out there who have, and like, I don't even know their names. I just know there are people out there who have, like,
countless.
So, like, I don't need to die. Like, you know, Grant Cardone has a quote that's like, "Success is my duty." And I definitely think that's true. I think success is my duty, but I think it's more important that I help other people reach a level of success as well. Like, Zig Ziglar has an even better quote where it's, if you help as many people get what they want, the more people that you help get what they want, you know, the more that you can have what you want. And I totally butchered that quote word for word but that's basically the concept of it. So it's like, that's where my drive for entrepreneurship comes from. My drive from entrepreneurship stems back to, like, when I was 6, I found out that people in other worlds. Now, I'm born in first world America, and like, for most of my life, I've had a bed to sleep in, and I didn't know that other people in other countries didn't have beds to sleep in. So when I was 6, I just thought that was absurd, and I didn't even know how big the number 1 million was, but I decided I wanted to bring 1 million mattresses. I wanted to basically, you know, like, send 1 million mattresses to another country. I wanted to, like, house, you know, the ability for 1 million people to, like, go to bed at night. And that also plays into the whole hotel thing as well. There's a lot of people in this world that just don't have what we have. And like, I don't need to die with billions of dollars in the bank. I just need to die knowing that I help billions of people. So, like, that to me is way more important. And billions of dollars definitely helps, but make sure you're using it for what you should be using it for. You've got one run at life. There's no reason to keep it all locked up in a bank. And I apply that every single day, even when I haven't had anything, even when I have, like, you know, it's like, it's good to always be giving. Like, you know, it's like ABC is always be closing. Well, we need to, like, take that to the next level as well, where it's like, always be giving. Like, always be giving, whether it's your time, whether it's your money. Like, always, just with every action, every close, always be giving.
ABCD, always be chasing dreams.
I like that. I like always be dream bigger, and always be going for them. And like, so many people dream so small because they think everything is so unrealistic, and they don't realize that human life in itself is unrealistic. my shot of waking up tomorrow morning, this is actually true. Like, this is weird that I'm like, not, you know, I'm like, my great uncle just passed away 2 nights ago, right? Like, he died. No one's ever gonna hear from him again. He's gone. Nobody will ever get to hear him speak again. He'll never get to talk to anyone else again. That's the other option on not waking up in the morning that people aren't coming to terms with. You could drop dead tomorrow. Why are you wasting today?
Legit.
Be grateful for it. Just run with it. So, I don't know where you want to go on from here, because I can just start, like, literally ranting on, like, everything that I see. Well, I just try to do things differently.
No, it's really wonderful, and I really love listening to you as well, and I know everyone else has. But
I think I've feel in my bones that we're going to be doing a few episodes together. But for
Oh,
now,
thanks.
where can they find you? And people that want to work with you or want to have a session with you to learn what you got, where can they connect with you? I've tagged you in the bio already, but
Yeah, so like you can definitely hit me up on Facebook Messenger would probably be one of the best places to hit me up, honestly, right now. As much as this sucks to say, like it's a good thing and a bad thing, but business has scaled really quickly over the past few months. So my Instagram is something that I'm basically never on, which is ironic considering I do Instagram marketing. Um, I'm in over 200 accounts on a daily basis. Like I don't really have time for mine yet. I may be getting an intern next week. So Facebook Messenger is probably the best place. Another place is Alexander at autsmarketing.com. That's my email. I respond to my email better than almost anything else, honestly, which is something I never thought I would say. So, but Facebook Messenger, because of my Aussie group, is something I actually use now as well. So thank you to you guys. But thank you very much for having me on. This has been really cool. I've never done this before, so thanks.
you're natural, bro. You're natural. There's
Oh,
plenty more to come as well. I
thanks.
don't doubt it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited for this guy to be out here in the United States. I'm going to be doing some crazy things out here.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I'm super keen. So thanks for watching, everyone, and bro, looking forward to what's to come.
Dude, for sure. Talk later, guys. All right. I don't know how to
Bye.
exit out. All right, bye.
I got you, bro.